So now we're going to take a little mind field trip to the hardware store. A lot of hardware stores, especially old-fashioned ones, sell nails by the pound. You may have seen that. So a customer comes in and they need several hundred nails. Maybe they're putting up a fence or something. Well, it's very tedious to count out all the nails. You could do it, but it would take a long time. And it's just not worth doing it. So they figure out how many nails are in a pound, or how many pounds does 12 nails or 50 nails weigh. And then you can actually count the nails by weighing them instead. And this is the approach that we take to counting atoms, because atoms are far too small to actually be counted. So let's think about this. A hardware store customer, wait a minute, did I miss something? I feel like I missed something. No? Okay. A hardware store customer buys 2.6 pounds of medium-sized nails. A dozen of these nails weigh 0.50 pounds. How many nails did he buy? This is a dimensional analysis problem. So let's look at these numbers. Well, we've got 2.60 pounds of nails, and then we have a dozen nails weigh 0.15 pounds. So we could say 0.150 pounds equals 1 dozen nails. Or you could write it's 0.150 pounds per dozen. Does that make sense? This is just everyday life kind of stuff. Pounds and nails, dozens of things. Well, how can we figure out how many nails? Yeah, we're going to set it up using dimensional analysis. We've got two numbers. We've got a mass, and then we've got a relationship. We're going to use this as a conversion factor. It is not always true that 0.150 pounds is equal to a dozen nails. But for this type of nail, it's true. So our path, I think I'll make this red just so we can see it. We're going to take pounds of nails, and we can convert to dozens of nails. But we want to know the actual number of nails. Do we know the number of nails in a dozen nails? Yeah, it's 12, right? So from dozen, we could go to number of nails, because we know that 1 dozen equals 12. Any questions? So we've got 2.60 pounds. We're just going to follow our path. Pounds to dozen to number of nails. And then I'm going to put dozen down here because I want that unit to cancel out. I'm going to put pounds down here. I want that unit to cancel out. The relationship between dozen and pounds was given in the problem. 1 dozen nails weighs 0.150 pounds. So 1 dozen, 0.150 pounds. And then we know that 1 dozen is 12 nails. It's important to get the numbers with the correct units, because it doesn't make any sense to say that 1 nail is 12 dozen nails, does it? That's silly. How can one nail be 12 dozen? That'd be 144. It's just not even close to the same thing. And yet when you switch numbers back and forth between their units in the metric system, your mind doesn't recognize that what you're doing is ridiculous. So you have to learn to follow the pattern so that you don't end up doing ridiculous things. Now let's just multiply and divide. 2.6 times 1 divided by 0.15 times 12. Before I tell you what my calculator gives me, what kind of a number, just like ballpark guess, do you think we're going to get? It's going to be like 0.1, 1, 10, 100, 1,000, -5. What kind of a number? Maybe 200 or so. Somebody uses their calculators. 208. 208 nails. But just thinking about it, if a dozen nails is 0.15 pounds and we've got a couple of pounds, this should be a relatively large number of nails. If you end up with 0.5 nails, hopefully you recognize that that's not really possible. And that clues us in that we put our numbers in or we did something funky with our calculators. Any questions? So it's counting by weighing. It's something that's done in everyday life, not just in chemistry.